Hello and welcome back to the channel. A subscriber that is relatively new to fly tying told me that he's struggling when he's tying muddler heads and asked me if I could offer some help via a video. As you know, the muddler minnow was first tied by Don Gapin for catching huge brook trout on the Nipigon River in Ontario, and the fly was intended to represent the sculpin, which is a small bottom-dwelling fish. It is said that the word muddler was the local name for the sculpin, while the minnow part was merely to indicate that it represented a small fish. In real terms, this was a cleverly named fly because whilst most of the fly fishing world had never heard of a sculpin, or a muddler for that matter, everybody had heard of a minnow and thus knew that it represented a small fish. The sculpin has a very large head when compared with the rest of the body, hence the large deer hair ball at the front of the fly to represent said large head. In Europe we have a member of the sculpin family and it's called a bullhead, or sometimes a bullhead minnow. I think you can see where I'm going with this. Whilst the UK does not have a sculpin per se, we have the bullhead minnow, and so the muddler minnow sounded mildly British and could certainly represent our bullhead. But as a young fly angler, I have to admit, I had no idea how the word muddler fitted into the equation. The way it's tied and fished can vary enormously, sometimes representing not just a small fish, but also terrestrial and other aquatic species. Likewise, the deer hair head has been applied to lots of different flies, sometimes round, sometimes in the shape of a cone. I'm sure Don Gapin would be amazed, or perhaps horrified, I don't know, at what we have done with his muddler minnow. But let's get on with the tying. In the vise, I've got a size 10 hook. Now, you can tie this, I think, probably up to a 4, depending on what size sculpin or bullheads you're likely to encounter. But I'm tying this on a 10 for the benefit of this particular demonstration. And I'm going to use some 6/0 thread. I'm just going to wind on the thread, like so, and trim up the thread. Right, now for the head, any type of deer hair, this is just a standard deer hair patch. And there are two things that are important. One, when you take off the deer hair, try and take off clumps of the same size. And also, you've heard me say on many occasions, when you're taking off fibres, to pull them out at 90 degrees. Pull these out in the same method. So you take a clump, and if you pull them out upright, instead of just trimming them straight off, you get the points more or less level. Now, if you want to use a stacker, you can do. Otherwise, you don't have to. So I'll just take this off. The other thing I recommend is that you don't use your best scissors on deer hair. They are known to blunt your scissors deer hairs. Right now, at the base you will see there's some fluff. You can take this out with a needle, with a dubbing needle, or you can use a comb to take out that fluff, or you can just pick it out. Gently pick it out with your finger and thumb. Right, now have a look at the points, and if there's anything excessively long, you can always take them out. Now, the points were intended to be the fins of the sculpin, which are quite large, almost like paddles at each side, the pectoral fins. So you don't want them down onto the tail if you're going to try and show that it's a reasonable copy. So something like that. And I'm going to put 2 loose wraps, 1, 2, and then tighten them. And as I tighten them, it will spin the deer hair around the hook. Then I'm just going to put a couple of wraps through the deer hair to ensure that it is tight onto the hook. Now I'm going to pull all this deer hair back. And put a couple of wraps in front. Now some people like to use a old biro tube just to push the hair back. I'm not going to bother. Right, and I'm going to take off a second clump, more or less the same. trim that up. Same process, just take out the fluff at the bottom, like so. Right, now, it's not absolutely necessary to tie this in the same way. You can tie it in reverse, or you can also take off the points, because you don't need the points. So I'm just going to trim those points off. And we have our second bunch, which I'm going to tie in using exactly the same method. 1, 2, and this. Pull it tight and it will spin around the hook. Cut the threads through the fibres, pull back the deer hair, as best you can. It's not doing as it's told at the moment, but I can get rid of those when I finish tying. Just try and make sure that the eye is clear. And I'm going to tie that fly off. Put on some glue and just wrap it off. Don't worry about these hairs getting in the way. I'll trim those up in a moment. And trim up the thread. Right, so your fly will probably look something like this. Now, for trimming up, I suggest that you have some sort of collector at the base. I'm using a piece of card just to collect the trimmings. You may have a tray or some other system that you want to use. There's my scissors, that's it. Right, now I like to start it in a square. A trim at the top, a trim at the side, a trim at this side, and a trim underneath. Right, so that gets you going. And then you can start pulling these larger fibres back and trim those up. And I'll just keep trimming these thicker fibres. Now this is quite the most labour intensive part of the fly. It helps if you've got a rotating vise to rotate the hook in the vise. So as not to extend the video any longer than necessary, I think you will get the gist, get the idea of what we're doing here to create this ball, this head at the front of the muddler minnow. Just take your time, trim it up to however you want it, but I hope that that gives the subscriber an idea on spinning the deer hair to create the head. If you wanted to create a larger profile, then you can, for the sake of argument, use a longer fibre. As you can see, this is a much longer fibre I've left there, and a slightly cone head as well. That just gives you an idea. The size of the head to the size of the hook. As I said, this is a size 10. So if you're using a larger hook, then you would probably use a larger head. But certainly it's been used in so many different flies now. I hope you enjoyed this little video to help those people that are struggling with deer hair, tying the muddler minnow head. I will continue trimming. I hope you enjoyed the video. As I say, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you so wish. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for viewing, and I will continue clipping. Bye.